Negativity in the Genshin Impact community is an extremely common thing. In fact, it's probably more common than defense is on artifacts. You know, at least until we actually want defense on artifacts. Maybe soon. And it's rather unfortunate to see out of a PvE game. Pretty uncommon, at least in my experience. There's always something that people complain about, but in Genshin it seems people like to complain about everything. It's pretty hard to go into basically any Genshin related thing with a comment section and not see somebody just flaming the game. God forbid you actually see somebody saying something positive about the game, people will be jumping down that person's throat, telling them just how much they hate the game, and maybe if you're lucky, even why they hate the game. There are so many things that you can say about the game, and maybe MiHoYo as a company, that are valid criticisms, but normally it's just the same thing distilled down to its core. I hate Genshin and you suck. This is why you should hate it too. Which, that's so helpful. And recently, I made a post in my community tab wanting people to leave their hottest takes on Genshin Impact. My personal one was that I'm actually okay with the Resin system as it stands now. Which, don't get me wrong, if there was a patch come out tomorrow and say, oh, we're doubling the Resin refresh rate or anything to do with giving more Resin, I would be excited. But that doesn't mean I'm not okay with the way it is now. The reason why I'm okay with it now is because the days of me playing one single game for 16 hours a day is gone. I don't do that anymore. I have other games I like to play, maybe for different amounts of time, and Genshin Impact is a game that is incredibly respectful of your time, maybe to a fault. With it being like that, I'm allowed to play other games without feeling bad or that I'm wasting my time or that I'm missing out on something. When a game like Monster Hunter Rise came out, all I wanted to do was play that game. Even the like 25 minutes Genshin wanted of my time a day to spend Resin and maybe do Artifact Run if I wanted to, that was more time than I wanted to spend on it when there was a brand new game that I wanted to play more. But beyond just that, giving me time to do other things, like create videos now, it also lets you desire something, which is something that a lot of people don't appreciate in games. Anyone who's ever played a game like a JRPG where they got max level, or a Steam game where they completed 100% and have absolutely nothing left to do, or a more accurate representation, a trading card game like Hearthstone or Legends of Runeterra, or even Magic if you're psychotic enough to spend enough to own every card in that game. When you own every card, some of the excitement about the game is gone. You don't have anything left to earn, and that does take away from the excitement of the experience. Now, obviously, a lot of people may have never experienced that because owning every card in a trading card game is kind of whale shit. But it's a very accurate comparison, at least in my personal experience. And Genshin, I haven't played a game where I played diligently every day for an entire year without missing a day, probably since way back in like 2009 when I played World of Warcraft Wrath of the Lich King. You know, back when I was in high school and didn't have responsibilities and I just wanted to pile every minute I had in a day into one game. But Genshin is that game. I play it every day without fail, at least doing the bare minimum. And the whole reason I've been playing that long is because I am always looking forward to something to earn beyond just new characters coming out. I own every character in the game because the little goblins in my brain, they want me to because I don't want to miss out. And even though I have a second account, which I basically kept playing, well, the reason I have that second account in the first place is because I started the game, I picked Lumine because typically I pick the female characters in the game. I generally think they look better than males, but after looking at the characters more, I decided I liked Aether more. I didn't bother re-rolling. This being my first Gacha game I ever played, I just decided, hey, I'm just gonna roll the dice and just deal with what I get. And what I got was Jean, which was a lot better than what most people got, which was nothing, no 5 stars. But I decided to re-roll. And my new account, I started spending more money on it. I wanted to earn more characters. I wanted to get everybody. At some point, I did have the idea that I was gonna skip some characters, and I would fill in the gap on characters I skipped with my old main account, now my secondary account. Obviously that went out the window and I started rolling on everybody all the time with little regard for my money. But tangent aside, despite rolling for everybody, I am constantly looking at my large list of characters realizing that I don't have like anyone built. I have quite a few characters built, technically more than most, because I don't really like swapping around my artifacts. For whatever reason, the idea of manually switching 5 artifacts to a whole different character without a loadout system to me just sounds awful. I don't do it. Instead, I just farm up a whole new artifact set for them, even if it's crap. And even if I'm doing the Spiral Abyss and say I have no plans on using my Hu Tao for this entire Spiral Abyss, but I plan on using Zhongli for the entire thing, I will not give that Staff of Homo to Zhongli because I find it more tolerable to just use the Favonius Lance and suck it up than switching that weapon over and then having to switch it back afterwards. That's just the way I am. MiHoYo, please give us a loadout system. We need it so badly. Back to the point. I can't keep up with these characters. I don't refresh my resin every day any more than once. I do the 50 Primo one and that's it. Beyond that, it's ridiculously expensive, at least for my standards. And even with that one extra refresh, I cannot build characters fast enough. Now I know for a lot of people, building new characters may not be considered content for you. You may not have fun with it. You may not have many characters, but for me it is. And there is a constant stream of characters coming into this game, sometimes at a pace that I think is way too fast. And I can't build characters as fast as they come out, even when we have breaks like right now where we just have 2 rerun banners. Now to get back to my original point about the resin and why I'm okay with the system, is I look at people who want the resin system just abolished completely, just no changes to the game as we have it now, just resin gone. Let us do whatever we want. I look at that and I think I would be done with the game in probably about a week or 2 if that were the case. I'd have every character 90, which right now I have none just because it's a massive waste of resources. Everyone would have godly artifacts, everyone would be ascended. I would just be waiting on new characters and probably be more than able to max them out in the day they come out. Genshin as a game would be dead right now if that were the case. For them to remove resin entirely, they would basically have to nerf the rates of 5-star artifacts down to you having to do like probably 10-20 domains just to maybe get one 5-star artifact that is probably going to be crap. And that would just create a whole different field of negativity around the game. People would just be complaining about garbage rates. They think the rates are bad now, but it's only bad now because we can only get so many in a day. Quite honestly, out of all the games I've played with RNG on gear, this is one of the more generous ones. You can get a pretty decent, acceptable endgame piece in a decent amount of time. Obviously, RNG is a factor. You may get screwed over. You may walk in and just get a full godly set of artifacts in one day. It's happened. But I really don't think these people know what they're asking for. If there's one thing MiHoYo does very well, it's manipulating us to play this game as long as possible and give as much money to them as possible. They've been incredibly successful in their field, and God knows what kind of things they do to manipulate us that we don't know about. Like, we look at reruns and we say, wow, why isn't the Ganyu banner being rerun? They would make a killing off that. They probably have some strategy that is going to make them even more money than we think they're going to make. And really the whole reason that I've played this game steadily for an entire year now is because a lot of these systems, they have me on a constant treadmill of knowing that I have stuff to look forward to and current stuff I already have that I want to work towards. And that list only grows every patch. Usually I don't get enough time to build these characters adequately before a new one comes out. I still have characters like Yoimiya, who I love. She's one of my favorite characters and she's built pretty well, but she could be better. She's not as strong as like my Ganyu, who I've put an immense amount of just effort of making her as strong as possible. One thing I will heavily agree on though is that we don't have enough to do in this game that is not beholden to the resin system. We have artifact farming, which is a small thing we can do every day for about half hour or so. We have elite farming, which is one of my favorite things to do, but it is very time consuming. And it's one thing I don't think a lot of people do because they don't see the benefit as worth their time, or they don't really enjoy it. And it's not really that rewarding. But I would really like to see just monster killing be more rewarding in general. Like, the one practice I absolutely freaking hate in gacha games is experience books. I think they are the stupidest thing humanly possible. I was raised on JRPGs, not a lot of them, but enough of them, and I loved grinding them. I like getting experience through killing monsters, not through freaking items that are extremely limited. It is just extremely stupid, especially in Genshin, where leveling to 90 is so incredibly wasteful. Like, that is something you only do on a character you absolutely love, and even then, I would only recommend doing it on a character like Hu Tao or Zhongli, who scales off HP, because the attack scaling and crap just ain't worth it. But like, would it be a lot to ask to increase the experience and mora that mobs give by like maybe 2, 3, 4, even 5 times? experience doesn't even really matter. Like getting characters to 90 is really just a privilege. Like you can clear Spiral Abyss with like level 70 characters as long as you get the A4 passive. That's what matters the most. Like there's all these systems in the game that are basically just hurting free-to-play players. Like once Inazuma came out, that's when a lot of people learned that there is an investigation limit, so you can only get so many artifacts a day, and like the elite farming limit, and just how unrewarding mobs are in general. Like all these things that only free-to-play players do, we're limited in how much we can do them, and taking the limit off those isn't even really going to affect MiHoYo's earnings, not at all. Just going to make some people happier, and even then, that's still not going to be enough to quell the rage that a lot of players have for the game. And I know most of what I've talked about so far is pretty much just been surrounding the Resin system, which isn't even really the center of negativity these days. Basically just everything. People aren't happy with the content schedule. They aren't happy with the Resin, as always. They aren't happy with the characters that are coming out anymore for whatever reason. I've been having fun with pretty much all of them. Obviously, Kokomi is a little bit weaker, but that doesn't matter. Not every character needs to be super strong. Kokomi's fun. She's unique. I like her. A lot of people have fun with her, but it's fine if you don't. You don't need to roll for every character. Not every character needs to be made for you. There's way too much negativity, like an ungodly amount. Like if you're one of those people that you find yourself not enjoying the game anymore, and all you want to do is tell everyone how much you hate it and why they should hate it too, just take a break. You don't need to keep playing the game. If you spent money on it, who cares? Like the sunk cost fallacy it's not helping anybody. Just because you spent money or time does not mean you have to keep spending more money or time on it. You can always take a break and come back when things look a little bit more appealing to you. If you really did love this game at some point and you're continuing to play it, and every day you think, wow, I kind of hate this, like this is boring, like all you're doing is poisoning something that you once liked and could continue to like, but you're just turning it into an unhealthy relationship that you refuse to break away from. I have games like Hearthstone that I used to play that I was a whale on Hearthstone. I spent thousands over the years that I played that game. I dropped it all of a sudden just out of the blue because I wasn't enjoying it anymore. I didn't have the same excitement about new content or just anything about the game. I just stopped playing it, and I may go back to it one day. I probably won't. That's fine. I enjoyed the time I spent on it, and if I do want to go back, I'll enjoy it a lot more than if I just kept forcing myself to play the entire time, just worrying about what I'd miss out on. So really, if that's you, just take a break. It's fine. Yeah, you'll miss Resin. You'll miss, like, your Resin's gonna sit there capped for maybe months, but it's better than just playing a game you hate every single day, where all you want to do is go to every community forum, every Reddit, every YouTube video, and just tell everyone how much you hate the game. That's what you like doing, then you do you, I guess, but really you just look like kind of an asshole. There's a lot of people who still enjoy this game, and hell, some of the people, even if they were being just funny about it, that their hot take was that they enjoy Genshin, which is hilarious because honestly, when you look at the community, yeah, that kind of is a hot take, but I just wanted to ramble about all the negativity I see. It's a lot, and I feel like the amount of people who are still positive about this game are getting outnumbered, or at least outspoken. Take a break if you need to. Otherwise, keep enjoying the game. Honestly, the future is looking pretty good for Genshin, and I'm not just saying that because of Arataki Ito. Okay, maybe I am.
Freeze to the core!